Friday's jobs report could help define the Federal Reserve's path forward as the health of the labor market is taking priority. That follows the recent cooling in inflation, but we've still got a lot of complicating factors ahead for labor market data. Former Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta President Dennis Lockhart joining us now to discuss. Dennis, it's great to have you on. Thank you for making the time for us. I mean, even just on a day like today, we're getting mixed pictures when it comes to the labor market. I can pick whatever narrative I want based on whatever data point I could point out to you. Since you've been in the room for these discussions before, tell us how the Fed handles the kind of bifurcation that we're already seeing in labor market data.
Well, for the most part, I think members of the committee have in mind an overall picture of the employment situation, and I think they currently think it's pretty solid. Unemployment at an acceptable level, job gains, monthly job gains that are higher than the replacement requirement, and continuing at a moderate pace. And they want to preserve that. So they'll be looking tomorrow for any cracks in that set of assumptions. That's a kind of working picture that they have of the labor market. And as I said, they'll be looking for information that sort of suggests that their picture is not correct.
Dennis, I want to call up some data from the JOLTS report that was out earlier this week as far as the quits rate and the hiring rate goes. So when you take a look at the quits rate and the hiring rate, both been coming down pretty significantly thus far in 2024. You exclude the pandemic, your quits rate's at about a 2015 level, hiring rate looking more like 2013. What do you make of data like that it seems like one could argue it's cooling and another could argue, oh no, what if these keep going down? That's normally something that would happen leading into a recession.
Well, the quits rate that we saw just after the pandemic in a very, very hot labor market was pretty extraordinary, and it reflected, I think, the view on the part of many people in the labor force that they could improve their situation by improve their salaries by quitting one job and seeking another one. And this labor market is much, much cooler than that, and that assumption doesn't hold any longer. So people are not quitting. They're trying to hold on to their jobs. We're not yet in a situation, and I hope we don't get there, of widespread firing of people, layoffs and such. We've seen just a slowing of hiring, and that feeds the quits rate as well.
How much does the Fed take into account the vibes, Dennis? If I asked all of my friends right now, many of whom are looking for work currently, they would tell me they need the Fed to be cutting by 50 at the next two meetings. To what extent have you seen some of that feeling of consumers come up in conversations within the Federal Reserve's meetings?
Yeah, there's opinion on both sides, meaning the 50 basis point versus a 25 basis point side. And there's a case to be made for both. What the committee has said, at least in the summary of economic projections, is 50 more basis points is the median between now and year end. That could come in 25 basis point cuts in November and December, or it's conceivable that they just simply do one cut of 50 in either November or December. So there are tactics involved in this. I think the difference of sentiment out there is sort of how weak the labor market might be, and I don't believe the committee views it as extraordinarily weak. So I think that would probably call for a 25 basis point cut in November.